Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming to y'all with another episode, people, of the Redirect, Regroup, Refocus podcast. Now, look here, man. As always, I say every week, I thank you all for tuning in. And also, if you take a look at today's title, okay, if we take a look at today's title for today, it's titled "Let's Talk About Jeff." And there's a reason why I want to do that. I'm a firm believer on me teaching the experiences that I go through. And I've been dealing with a big something for, I would say, about 2 weeks, trying to climb out of it, getting back into it, trying to climb out of it, getting back into it. And it's something I want to, because I want to share this with y'all. And I know people have been here before, but I talk about how change is hard, right? I say this all the time. And with me saying that change is hard, I actually want to take you all through my process, my steps, the things that kind of help me get through my day to day. But I really want to break down to y'all the process when something happens in my life and it kind of disrupts my own feelings. It disrupts the directions I might want to go in. What I mean by disrupt is it just throws me off the game. This thing particularly really threw me off the game. I'm not going to get into deep detail, but I just want to share with y'all my process and why I do what I do. And yeah, with this particular subject, it made me realize and really understand why people get to a point where they want to commit suicide and kill themselves. Now, with me making this statement, I'm not saying that I was suicidal. I'm not saying that I want to kill myself. But what I'm saying is I understand how people can get to that point. And I think that was actually my first time actually realizing this, looking at it and really dissecting it, really doing another deep dive within myself to say, look, Jeff, your mental health really isn't good, and I had to kind of come to grips with that. So what I'm going to do, that's why I'm doing this show. So that's why I want to start off with why. Why am I doing this show? I'm doing this show because, like I said earlier, I try to teach a lot through my own experiences. And when I teach through my own experiences, I feel that that's the way we learn from each other. I don't care what people have to say or how they're going to down me, say you could have did this, you could have did that. Well, the fact of the matter is that I could have did something, but guess what? I didn't. And this is where I'm at now because of decisions that I make. So that took a lot of growth to get to that point. And I want to share with y'all how I kind of do that. So the first thing I want to get off into is that with me, I've had a lot of influences, and what not influences in the way of me of shifting what I would say or influencing me to steer me in a certain direction when it comes to people and situations in my life. Okay. I'm a grown man. Nobody has to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? And I make my own decision, and nobody influences Jeff Relaford's decisions. That I must say first. So what I mean by these influences, these are people that allowed me to actually learn how to speak freely but truthfully. And what I mean by speak freely and truthfully is when you're going through something, you have to tell the whole truth about a situation. Now, that's number one. Now I'm letting y'all into my processes. Like I said, I felt like the world was kind of closing in last week, Monday. I felt like I did know what it feels like to why people want to commit suicide. And it's because of stress. It's because of those pressures of life. Everything's building up and you have everything bottled in so much and you can't get it out. And I really felt that I couldn't get it out. I felt it was so much. I felt that I couldn't get it out, and I felt that I couldn't get out to the person that I felt needed to actually hear it. Okay. So influences, man, I want to tell you all, make sure, now this is one of the processes I use. Whenever you have let's say a disagreement between someone, okay, and let's say, or some type of just argument or whatever it may be, or it could have been just a discussion and you might feel some type of way off of what somebody said to you. Make sure you have people around you that you can tell the whole truth to, okay? And I want to say it like this. I do this for a reason, and I know some people might not agree with me about this particular thing, but I'm gonna tell you why I like to tell people certain situations that go on me. One, These are friends and people that I have around me that can give me an unbiased opinion. Okay. And what I mean by unbiased opinion, what they do is we dissect Jeff first. Okay. Now, I can't tell you how many times that I know when I told somebody the truth, one of my friends and my people, about the truth about a situation that I went through, right? And when I went through these situations, it's hard to start off with number one first. It is very hard to lead off and say, look, man, this is what I did wrong. So shout out to a couple people that actually helped me get to that point. My man Miguel Godinez. I talk about him all the time, y'all. When I bring up things of change or people that kind of help me get to that point, my man Miguel and his wife Adriana Godinez, and their wonderful kids. Believe it or not, the kids actually helped me get through some things too. I'll say it all the time. They don't really realize how much of an influence and impact that they had on me when I was at a low point in my life. And I was at another low point in my life that was actually after my divorce. I felt like I wasn't nothing. I felt like I couldn't achieve anything. I felt like I could keep nothing going. And they really helped me to believe in myself for that time. And it was a great thing. It was just a great thing. So I got to say that and give that to them. They're a part of that system that I have of me being able to open up and tell the truth about any situation that I go through. And they'll say, Jeff, you should never did that. Jeff, you should never said that. Jeff, you overreacted. And I'll say, you're right, big dog. And then we move on to what somebody else did and how that made me feel. You know, it's very key, people, when you're doing a deep dive on yourself. At least for me, it's very key for me to look at myself first and not point the blame at somebody else with how they made me feel. And I'll tell you why I do that. What it does for me is, me personally, it teaches me a level of accountability. Okay, Jeff, you went through this situation, you dictated it this way. Do you have to go that way again? You know, that's what I have to ask myself. Do I have to go that way again? And 9 times out of 10, I already know that answer. That answer is already no. But admitting it to yourself and actually doing it are two different things. I admit a lot of different truths to myself about myself. You know, that's internal. That's when I go internally and I take the dive. You know, I have to admit things that I know that I have done wrong to me and to the others that I am expressing it to. Not a time goes by whenever I have a disagreement, argument, or some type of situation that goes into my life where I'm not willing to tell somebody what I did and I know what I was responsible for first. But it took some time to get there. It took a lot of time for me to get there. I had to deal with a lot of my struggles and things that I dealt with when I was younger before, you know. So I'm letting y'all into my process because, once again, I always keep saying that change is hard. But see, what y'all see on the other side of the camera is me giving it. But I have to show y'all actually how I live it. When I tell y'all that this is I live, eat, breathe, and sweat life, Coach Jeff, and I'm talking about internally for something, I really do. And sometimes it's not always in the best ways of possible, you know. Like anybody, I'm human. I can get angry at things, you know, I can get upset about things. But at the end of the day, once the storm calms, it's up to me to make a decision in order to change who I am. You know what I mean? So that's number one. And number two is just with those processes, having people that you can really be 100 with. You have to do a little bit of self-examination. And the thing is, you know, how many of us really have people that we can be around that can really, as I'm doing self-examination, I need these people to do an examination on me. So I'm not getting it once, I'm getting it twice. So picture yourself having to admit something to yourself that you might not want to deal with or might not want to try to change at a time. But then you have somebody who's willing to be on the other side of the mirror, on the other side of the fence, looking at that same reflection of you, or looking at you and telling you and seeing right through who you are and having to tell you the truth about yourself. You know what I mean? That's part of the steps of what I actually do. And I kind of believe if we would tell the truth to ourselves and our friends pertaining to anything, it could be about relationships, situations, anything negative or positive. I think that's what helps us to be true to ourselves. You know, that's why I can tell anybody. I've even said this to my mentor. I've said this to people around me. I know when I'm upset and I'm being an a-hole, I know I'm upset and being an a-hole. I do everything I can to keep that down under, because I know my reactions can instantly control a situation. I know that. So that's why what I try to do is I try to speak calm. I try to talk to people in a way to where it doesn't come off as hostile. Now, what I've learned in this life now is that sometimes you can talk normal and people think you're still being hostile or you're being aggressive. I just chop that up to a lot of times you have to learn the person, and you have to learn actually what they mean by the things that they say. If we pay attention to those things pertaining to people, I believe that would help us out a heck of a lot more, But once again, this is a me thing today. So that's one of the steps that I do. I keep people close to me, and the people that I keep close to me, you better be able to give me the truth. Because if I'm going to share a whole situation with you and I'm looking for guidance, right? I'm the one that gives the guidance, but I need guidance too. So I got to let y'all know that I'm the one that gives guidance, but I need guidance too at times. If I'm definitely going to get guidance from somebody that is close to me, you better be able. I don't want a shred of loyalty from you. And I'll tell you what I mean by not a shred of loyalty. I'm not saying it's not good to have people on your side. It's great to have people on your side, but you need some people that's going to tell you and say, hey, dog, you wasn't right. Hey, man, you went right, or you went left when you should have gone right. You went right when you should have gone left. I can't quite agree with you on that one, big dog. That's hard for some, but I'll tell you, it was hard for me and at times it can still be hard for me, because what I have to do is I have to let go of myself. I have to let go of the ego that Jeff has in order to say, Jeff, if you saw a person react a certain way, what did you do first? True story. I went through 2 instances at work where I did not treat these 2 people bad at all. Literally got cussed out twice. And I still had to look at me. And that actually happened maybe a couple weeks apart from each other. And then I was going through my own personal situation as well. So that had a toll on me. It was heavy. It really put a toll on me. You go 1 week and then you go through your situation and you get misunderstood again. But those 2 instances, I did not speak. It was just based off somebody else's mess. So then when I speak and I tell the truth, now all heck done broke loose. All hell done broke loose. I say it, all hell done broke loose, because I opened up my mouth. Now, could I have been quiet in both of those situations to not further perpetuate any other arguments or any other tongue lashings or words, anything like that going out? Yes, but I did. So once again, when I accept the fact that I did do that, I'm taking all the consequences that come with it. If somebody going to be upset with me, I got to accept it. If somebody don't want to talk, I have to accept it, because I did a reaction based off of the reaction they gave me. I listened to respond. Now, when somebody takes you there, I'll be honest, a lot of us do listen to respond. But I'm telling you what I did in those 2 instances. I definitely listened to respond. I was calm in the beginning, but then I let that escalate when I could have walked away and let them be in their foolishness. That was my mistake. Okay, that's part of it, owning up to what you do. And then I went through, and even to make sure that I wasn't crazy about the situation, I went back and I was honest with my friends. Like I say, people, if you're going to be, if you really want to change, you have to be repetitive about the motions that you do. So this means I have to draw out a story and be truthful. Be truthful about the story, about what's said. Keep receipts. You keep receipts not to use them against other people. You keep receipts to help you grow. I kept those receipts to help me grow. And then out of those 2 instances that tell me I was doing nothing wrong. Now with this particular situation that I'm going through now, it's a little bit different. It's hitting a little harder, hitting a little close to home. And with it hitting close to home, there are certain decisions that you have to make that you don't want to make. And then you have to realize and sit back and say, well, the decision I make, once again, it just doesn't affect me. It affects another person. You have to be at a place where whenever you are with someone, this is marriage or relationship, the decisions that you make, especially in marriage, The decisions that you make are no longer just going to affect you. They are also going to affect another person, and vice versa. Now, you should think about, I'm thinking about this with anybody. I don't want to say you so much or whoever's watching in the audience, because once again, this isn't about you per se. This is more so me letting you into what I do, and then you take whatever you want out of it. But I need to be candid about how I kind of was dealing with this. I called a number of friends, and once again, people who I said that will be truthful to me and tell me some things, and they said they don't like me seeing me like this. I'll tell you why I've been MIA and missing on a couple things and doing some things with some people, because that's what I was dealing with. That's why I didn't return the call. That's why I didn't hop on the show. That's why I didn't have anything to talk about. You know what I mean? Because I was at a place to where I felt like I couldn't share. I was at a place where I felt like, hey, you're supposed to be Life Coach Jeff, but guess what? Life Coach Jeff don't even have no answers to give nobody. You know what I mean? Once again, I'm saying all this because I'm trying to be as vulnerable as possible. And I knew this was going to be an episode to where, you only going to view it one or two ways. You either going to see it as, well, we all deal with it and we all got issues and problems, blah, 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 woo, woo. Or you can say, you know what? Maybe I can get something out of this and it can't help me. I challenge everybody to always turn whatever information somebody gives you into a learning experience. That's another process that I use as well. I do a lot of sitting back and I do a lot of watching. Sometimes I sit back and I watch people to make sure that I don't fall into that same category as them. Now, life is life, people. Life just happens. You can't prevent all bad from happening to you. I want to let y'all know that. And I know for the extent of the podcast, y'all know this. My people know this. Y'all know that y'all can't control what people do, but you can do all the preventing in the world. And this is what my particular situation that I'm going through now has taught me. You can do all of the prevention in the world, because I realized that's what I was doing, preventing. But if you haven't gone through anything, how do you know? And I'm not saying with everything, but if you haven't gone through a particular situation, how will you know if when it comes about, you're attacking it the right way? Now, that's my mindset. That's what I do to think about things. I always ask myself, if I keep prepping for something, I'm the type of person I'd rather just deal with it and walk through it and learn from it as I go. But I get it though. Everybody's not like that. But me, I am the type of person that if a situation happens or arises, whether it's good or bad, I have to walk through that myself. I can't bring anybody with me on that journey. It's not my responsibility to bring anybody with me on that journey. Right? Because if I do that, I'm more susceptible to place blame in people's lives. Like, for instance, if I was to deal with all the stuff that I had to deal with when I was younger, right? I continue to place blame on my mom, my brother, how I feel about certain situations that I went through when I was growing up. I'm past all that. You got to get past certain things. So I have to be upon or in that journey myself. I got to embark on that journey myself. So that's another thing that I do. And another thing that I do is I try to have an outlet, at least one outlet. And that outlet for me is, I'm going to be honest with y'all people, that's me talking to God. That's what that is. That's me talking to God. But what I did in this particular situation, I let a person's words get at me so hard that I lost my way. And I have never done that before. I ain't even going to hold you. I said I was at a low place. That was because I felt like nothing. But when I was at that low place, with my ex-wife and a divorce, that was just me feeling like a failure. But this is a different type of low. I've never felt this way before. I've never allowed anybody's words to really affect me in the way that they've affected me. And I have to learn how to process those words that were given to me. And also go ahead and take direction from God with that too. Now, listen, once again, we talk about my processes. My processes involve God. So everybody doesn't have to quite understand it or know how it works. It's just that a lot of times you have to be willing to take direction from the thing that has given everything direction. right? And what I mean by giving everything direction, a lot of times the creation has to take direction from the creator. That's what I'm trying to say. The creator made cells and things that move and everything like that. He allows everything to move. So I have to move based on how he's going to allow me to move, how God is going to allow me to move. So that's internally what I do. And I try not to internalize things too much. Because if you internalize things too much, you will blow up one day. I have been there. I did it. But this time, not right now, but maybe several days ago, I felt like that I was about to explode. Like I didn't have enough to let out. I didn't have enough outlets. I didn't feel like, I kind of felt like nobody cared. Now, I really don't ever feel like that because I know I'm surrounded by people that love me, right? Now, this is not meant to be, once again, people, this is not meant to be a depressing episode. That's not what this is meant to be. This is not meant to be a depressing episode. But what this is meant to be is, this is meant to be an episode that I can share about who I am and using who I am to be a blessing to somebody else. Because I know there's somebody out there who tries to overcome things. I know there are people that try to overcome different situations in their life and they try to figure out, how can I do that? I'm not saying I got the best way. I ain't saying I got the best method. But I can honestly say, if you really do try to sincerely want to see about a change in you, looking for a deeper and better version of you, you have to want that. Now, it doesn't matter what other people see around you. You know what I mean? Even if you have to be closed off for a little bit, because sometimes everybody's not meant to see your growth, because there are people who will take your growth for granted. There are people who will take your growth and think that you're not doing anything at all. But a lot of times I've noticed, when you're dealing with people who have grown, when they pay attention to the words that they say, and I'm saying on a regular basis. See, I was raised in my family to pay attention to my words, right? So my people taught me that there's certain ways that you can say things. They said, watch how you say things to people, because you want people to treat you how you treat them. Okay. So if you go ahead and if you give attitude, you're going to go ahead and receive it back. So I was raised that way, not to do that. And I've realized in the world that we live in today, that's a process that we don't take to heart. That's something that we don't do for each other. And if anything, you need to do it for you, because you don't want to be in a bad situation, right? Why would you care? Why would you not care about what you say and how you say it? So that way people can continue to look at you sideways. I ain't got time for those battles, people. So what I do is I listen to what my grandparents told me, what my mom told me. Just continue to not cater to people. You don't have to cater to people, but there will be some people in this world that you will realize that you will have to talk a certain way to. Now, I'm saying in passing, I'm saying these are people that I'm saying that if it's a person that needs you to do that every day, and you have to continuously tell them and explain to them who you are and what you mean by those things, and they're not willing to listen to you, that's on them. That's on that person to process that information, because you're saying that, listen, when I talk about it, and I'm not, and this is for my people who are not demeaning. This is for my people who aren't hitting their friends or spouses or loved ones or something like that, abusing people verbally and physically. This is for people who are just trying to express. Okay. This is if you're trying to express and somebody takes what you say and they flip it. And then when you can't get it out too, that's a whole nother story. But that's different, yo. Sometimes people will prevent you from getting out all of your information because you have to cater to how they feel. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think that that's something we should do. But if you're trying to explain a thought and you can't even get it out fully, but they've already assumed what you're going to say, that's not a good way to handle anything. And I am guilty of that. I am guilty of that, just as the next person is. So like I said, I'm not going to say, like I always say, I'm not going to say anything that I haven't had to deal with myself to somebody else. I can't do that. That will make me a hypocrite. And then I would be thinking that I am above reproach. And I'm not above reproach. I'm not above change. Each and every person in life has to do some type of change, has to go through some type of change. It would be very ignorant for me to think that I should be the same person that I was at 20, at 30, almost 34. That's very ignorant for me to say that. Even though young Jeff and older Jeff are very similar, because I always wasn't out there wilding out in the streets. It's just ignorant for anybody to say that. And it was very ignorant for me to think that, because I used to say things like, it's okay, be you, Jeff, and the world will adjust. And honestly, the true answer to that is that the world really does not care. I'm gonna be very honest with you. A lot of times the world does not care about your attitude, but the world is ready to deal with your attitude. You feel me? I don't have to care about how somebody got to that point, but if you give it to me, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with it. You feel me? This is the world that we live in. We live in a world where it's a lot of people. Since you gave me something, I'm gonna give it back to you. And because it's so normalized now, I try to do as best as I can to continue to, like I said, look at myself, look at who I am, look at my moral compass. I feel with the world we live in too is so many influences out there that your moral compass can change. One thing that I do with myself is I learn to accept people for who they are. Now, what I mean by accepting people for who they are is that if you feel that somebody is constantly mistreating you, you don't have to accept that. If somebody is cussing you out, beating you, acting a fool with you, making a scene every time you go out, friends, family, whoever it may be, relationship, marriage, whatever it may be, you don't have to accept that part. Because what do I always say? We all want to be loved, heard, and oh my gosh, I say these three things all the time. We want to be loved, heard, and I believe respected. Those three things. So the thing is, if those are the three things that we all have a basic need and a desire and a basic need and want to have, I feel that there's a level of love that should be automatically emitted from us. There's a level of love that we should automatically just have in us because we're made that way, right? We're made that way. Nobody wakes up one day and says, bring evil in my life. No, they say they want all the good. So it's natural to want something good. And we should strive to always want to seek that something good. Another thing I was going to say was, what else do I do? I had it in my head that left. It was the thought, yo. I was just trying to complete the thought. I should have stopped myself. But I'll say it like this. Oh, that's what it was. Another thing I do is I don't have expectations of people. Now, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. The only thing that I look at is that it's not an expectation because of how I've categorized it. The category that I put all this stuff in is just human nature. Okay. Somebody will have an attitude with you because sometimes they have a bad day. I don't expect everybody to be happy all the time. That's human nature, right? So I can go ahead and chop that up and I can deal with that. I can deal with small petty stuff. Somebody might say something because they were rubbed the wrong way to you. It might actually say a comment where they had no filter. They're like, whoa, what do you mean by that? They're like, oh man, I'm sorry, big dog. That ain't how I felt. That ain't what I meant. It's just been a rough day. Everybody was getting it like that today. It ain't just you. You know what I mean? I don't have expectations of people to treat me the way that I would treat them. I don't put that on anybody. And if y'all were at the relationship roundtable, one of the things I did say is I don't have expectations for my wife. Because the thing is, if you want to be loved, heard, and respected, those are natural moral standards that we all live to. All natural standards that we live to, yo. That's it. If that's what we all seek, that's all I'm looking for. And I don't even feel that's a standard. It's just be human. Be human. If you're gonna show me love, show me love. If there's a day when you might show me hate, okay, that's you being human. You'll show me hate. But I'm not expecting everybody in this world to treat me like unicorns, roses, and fairies all the time. Did an episode with my cousin, and we talked about you have to be able to accept the sting. One of the things that I've learned is you have to learn how to deal with the sting of people. Like we said, he was worried about why the person was slapping him. I can care less about why the person slapped me. I need to process the hurt behind that. I got to process my emotion That's what it is. It's more so holding on and processing the emotion behind that, so I don't do something crazy to that person. Now, we probably will be fighting, but it's the level that I'm gonna take my fighting to. I might go ahead cuss you out one good one. I'm that, once again, that's me being human. I might go ahead say something that I don't have no business saying, but that's me being human though. So sometimes as people, I feel that a lot of times with friendships, relationships, and this is why I allow people to be human, because we don't allow that enough in this world. We want people to do everything that we want them to for us, right? We want people to literally do the things that we want them to do to please us, to make us happy. But the question I have is, and I had to ask myself this one day, what do you do for yourself when that person cannot give you what you want and need? And I'm not saying that it's a thing that they always do. I'm saying that if it's a specific thing that you're looking for in that moment and it's not given to you, how do you transfer and process what you see, what you want, and what is going to be the emotion expelled behind that? That's what I had to ask myself. Because at the end of the day, what I don't want to do is, I don't want to, and it could be, and it could be more of an over exaggeration. It could be, because what I don't want to do is, I don't want to make somebody mad. You know what I mean? And then I go and apologize, and they say, "Why are you apologizing for?" I can't stand that. You literally, I don't like to do it because it's terrible. But what's going to happen is if we respond to basic human reaction and we say, "Hey man, I didn't mean for that to rub you the wrong way. I might have said this." People will still ask, "Why are you apologizing?" When you noticeably saw or heard a reaction out of them. Now, sometimes that's them just being human too. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's them being human too. But that was something I had to learn. I had to really learn when people were being human and when really people were just giving it to you out of blatant disrespect. And I had to learn how I emit those emotions too. I never used to be, okay, this is a different side of me. I'm gonna let y'all into this. This is a different side of me I didn't see. I didn't know I can get pushed to a limit. I know everybody has a limit, and I'll say that. But when I finally got pushed to a breaking point where I said, I'm not having this no more. Oh my gosh. It's not a good thing. I'm gonna say that. It's not a good thing. But what I need to do is I need to learn how to harness that emotion and process that emotion. I can't put that on a person because they triggered me. I can acknowledge it and say what they said made me upset, what they did made me mad. But at the end of the day, that person has to go to their home, to their family, and deal with their own mess. So why am I trying to take on their own mess? I need to just sit back, process what I've done, and learn how to handle my own. These are things that I'm learning. These are things that I'm still doing. These are things that I wouldn't tell y'all anything to do anything that I'm not doing or have not done myself. And I wanted to let people in on this because, they say even the therapy need a therapist. Yeah, even the therapist needs therapy. So, even the life coach still needs a life coach. You know what I mean? One day I'm going to actually let y'all into something. There's a guy by the name of Smooch Wallace. Shout out to my boy Smooch, man. Smooch is everywhere. Ask yourself, who is Smooch Wallace? Ask yourself, who was Smooch Wallace? That's all I'm going to say. But, they often wonder, like me and him were talking, Smooch Wallace represents something totally different. And me and Smooch avidly hold conversation. And I think it's interesting because when you look at Smooch's character and you look at who I am and what I represent, what can we possibly have to talk about? And I'll tell you what it is. No, I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's supposed to be a mystery with us. But anyway, one thing that I do try to have with people is basic human understanding of why we do things. I'll say that. That's why I said, two people, and I'll give it to you like this. two people from two different planes of existence, two different characters, two different people who are down different lanes trying to have a message, you know, but somehow they come in the middle. And how do people meet in the middle? I'll tell you how people meet in the middle. They meet in the middle by actually listening to what the person is telling you. They meet in the middle by coming together through basic knowledge and understanding. You know, I always tell people we always know what right is right. We know that wrong is wrong. You can base a whole conversation between two people just on knowing what right is and knowing what wrong is wrong. You can have a whole conversation about the world, people, situations that you've dealt with, situations that they've dealt with, strictly based on knowing good and evil. To me, that's basic human understanding of why we do things. And then it gets deeper because then we start talking about triggers, all this other stuff like that, blah, 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 woo, woo, woo. But once again, that's one of the things that helps me to try to learn more about myself. I learn more about myself by learning about other people. You know, we do a lot of criticisms, right? We hear a lot of what people say, and we're like, man, I could never handle that. I would never do that. I'd never da 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 da. But you really don't know what that person is going through. You really don't know why and how they have the mental fortitude to really go through the things that they are going through. You know what I mean? You don't really understand that. And I can honestly say when I was going through my stuff, I was trying to figure out how I even had the mental fortitude, but I had to chop it up to, Jeff, you have it because of the work that you've done. It's okay, people. Give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a hand clap for the work that you have done on you. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, even there will be times when nobody else will see that work. And I'm talking about honest work, because it's a lot of people out here capping, saying they do a lot of stuff, you know, and they don't. But it takes it. I'm trying to tell you, yo, it takes a deep dive into self. It takes listening to what somebody closest to you and loves you has told you. That's why, like when you watch Intervention, right? When the people on Intervention, they're telling them the truth about what they see in front of their face about their loved one. And it's extremely hard for them to accept it. It's extremely hard for them to accept it. Why? Because they feel like you're backing them to a corner. They feel like you're shutting them down. They feel like those three basic needs, love, heard, and respected, are being violated. But it's not really being violated. What it's doing is it's actually just allowing somebody to finally see themselves. And that's the problem majority of the time. We don't want to see ourselves, you know? It's crazy. We can see ourselves. We can say we see ourselves for a long time, but then sometimes we might not actually see ourselves. Sometimes it'll take somebody to explain something to us, a notion or a different thing that's given to us. And then we'll say, oh, wow, I never thought about that. And then what do? You take it back home and you apply it to yourself. We owe it to ourselves and people, because it's interesting, because a lot of times we think we don't owe people anything, but we owe people is to be good. We owe people to be decent. We owe people to be kind. Those are the natural things that we do as people. We owe it to people to be those things, because what did I say earlier? We naturally want good. Nobody out the womb, maybe for Cain, except for Cain when he was born. Some of y'all will get that. Cain, when he was born, probably was out there spitting evil. But nobody comes out the gate wanting to do bad. Nobody comes out the gate on demon time, unless that is your choice. But majority of people will want to walk this earth and have a very pleasant day. Majority of people will want to walk this earth. If we took a poll right now, I'm in Indiana. If we took a poll in Indiana, Illinois, all the 50 states, and we'll include Alaska and Hawaii and or U.S. territories, I guarantee you, if you ask people, what do you want, a good life or a bad life? Majority of your people going to say good life. Dang near 100% of the people are going to say good life. So I need y'all to notice that. One of the processes that I do is I try to talk to people, gain maybe views and ways that they may think, or different opinions that they may have. And I always I take the good with me. I don't like toxic. I don't like bad. I don't like selfish statements. I don't like selfish statements because you have to walk around, or I at least owe it to myself as I'm going through my process of change. I owe it to myself to maintain a certain humility, to maintain a certain humbleness, right? Now you have to understand sometimes your humbleness or your humility, because you have it inside, sometimes people might not see it outside. That might not have to do with anything that you do particularly. It's just that, you know, everybody has their own views, opinions, and ways of how they view humbleness and humility. You know, you could say I did a great thing just by giving a man $5. But you know what? A person will say, well, why did you have to document it? Why'd you have to tell us? Why'd you have to put it on YouTube? Why'd you have to put it on Facebook? Totally disregarding the fact that you did a human act of kindness. That's what I focus on. I tend to focus on the act of kindness rather than why they did it. True, it's going to be people trying to get clout, trying to go viral all the time. All the time. That ain't going to change, especially now with social media. So let them have their clout. So pick and choose what you want out of these certain reels, certain information that you get. I choose not to fill myself with toxicity. Can't do it. Toxicity. And this is why it's very important to have people around you who will tell the truth, because I know some people that are toxic that I would never share any of my issues or problems with, because you know why? They're going to be selfish. They're going to be on demon time. They're going to tell me, hey, slash them tires, burn that car down, go up to their job, act a fool, plant, put sand in like the gas, to sugar in the gas tank or something. You know what I mean? Though I do know some people like that. But I always maintain people around me who aren't afraid to challenge my mind. And then in turn, it's okay if they go against something that I would say or something I would like, because I need opposition sometimes. Opposition can be done healthily. Opposition can be done healthily. And I also got to a point when I hear this opposition, what helps me a great deal is that I have the ability to put out everything when I'm talking to a person on Front Street. And I'll admit to what I say, and I'll tell you how I said it, and I'll break it down wholeheartedly. But at the end of the day, I don't care. And I'll tell you why I say I don't care. That's not me being an a-hole to people. That's not me saying I don't care about your feelings, your well-being. I have to choose to say I don't care, because in order for me to say I don't care, I have to accept my own feelings. I have to walk in the fact that I did not care about what I was saying in that moment. I have to walk in it and tell myself, Jeff, you did not care about how that person felt when you might have made a statement. I have to own that, because if I don't own it, I can't change it. If I keep defending it, it becomes an excuse. If it continues to become an excuse, now it's something that I'm just going to accept, and I'm going to say, oh, well, I'm me. No, I can't get to the point to where I'm saying, now on the lighter hearted things, yes, I can accept that, and I can just say that I am me. Misinterpretations, miscommunications, if people would learn to have more dialogue, boom. I'm a firm believer people would have more dialogue, then we would be able to actually come to peaceful resolutions, some resolve, you know what I mean? But a lot of times we don't want to talk. We rather fight. And what I mean by fight is not physically. Some people will fight you physically, but a lot of people love to fight with their words. If they feel that you hurt them in the slightest bit, what they will do is they will hit you below the belt. And even if you hit below the belt, it's still up to you to pull back the curtain and look at what you said. Because at the end of the day, what did you do? You affected somebody else's emotion. So you just can't totally disregard that and say they deserved it, even though somebody rightfully so could have deserved it. They could have deserved it. And you just want to leave it there. I still have to look at myself, and I have to say, look, Jeff, keep continuing to work on you, because you can't be the worst version of yourself and offer the good parts of you. You have to continue to offer the great parts of you. You have to continue to offer the great parts of you, right? and then you can be good for somebody else. So that's what I want to tell y'all. That's what I want to end off with. Always make sure that you can offer the best of you to give to people. Don't ever get to a point to where you're at your lowest low that you can't perform, because I was there, people, to where I didn't do some things because I could not give my all. And I vowed to never, ever put myself at that point again. So, all right, y'all. This your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming at y'all from the Redirect, Regroup, Refocus podcast. Look, man, I came on and I shared. That's what I want to do today. I want to give some quick shout outs, man. Big shout out to Dope Living TV, my first family, my first podcast family, Greg Gray, Gina Gatson, Maurice Bishop, and Marcella DeLavalette Amos. They come on Monday through Thursdays, and occasionally I'll be on there too. Monday through Thursdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Shout out to the D Stark Show as well. I believe, I can't remember which day that they're on, but y'all follow the D Stark Show. Y'all also go ahead, follow the Views and Opinions podcast. Also, that's my cousin, Ron Reed. Follow the Views and Opinions podcast. Also, Shop Talk 7 with them boys, them shop boys, Media Monix, and D Smith. I'm not going to tell y'all how he says his name, because I'm a man. I have to let that man own his name. So I'm going to call him D Smith. And just shout out to everybody else, man. Honestly, Donalyn Biggs Radio Network, voice of a new generation, Biggs Radio Chicago. Come on now, stand up, everybody. Let's get it for real, because we're going to be doing some good things with that, and we want to make sure we keep that train moving as well. I'm going to start having some guests for that. You know what I mean? And it's going to be good. And I think y'all going to like the type of conversation that I'm having with people. It's more dialogue, a little more in depth. And y'all have already watched a couple of those episodes that will air already. So yeah, everybody. All right, y'all. It's your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming to you. Remember, redirect, regroup, refocus. Remember, always try to make sure you can be the best version of you, because if you're not the best version of you, how can you be the best version for everybody else that's in your life that you have to show up for? All right, y'all. Remember, redirect, regroup, refocus. I love y'all, and peace out.